Hey, everybody, we're back and I'm in victim mode. How are you?
I feel like what's so fascinating for us is that we luckily are not in the same modes at the same time.
Yes, thank God. Otherwise, this would be a very depressing podcast.
Or really like amped.
Oh, yeah, depending on the day, right?
Yes.
So
So
I
you're
haven't
yeah.
worked out
Mhm.
since I can't even blame the pandemic because it was like a solid 6 months before the pandemic hit the US that I just stopped working out. And I've started, after the pandemic, we kind of bought a weight bench and we bought some hand weights. And I love yoga with Adriene on YouTube.
Mhm.
Free, awesome yoga on YouTube that you can get anywhere, anytime. And I'm like, I'll get really amped and I'll get really into it for like a week. And then I'm like, mm. And last night I was feeling depressed because I know it's something I need to be doing and I haven't been. And I used to love working out. I mean, I used to run half marathons, triathlons, I did CrossFit, like I was hardcore. And I was so happy and
Mm.
I felt good about myself. And I think that's one of the things that's missing in my life right now is that. But I nothing sounds fun, nothing sounds good. I asked my pendulum last night, "Okay, yoga," and it's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay, swimming," because I love to swim, and it's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay, karate." And so basically what I got from it was the universe just wants me to do fucking something. Whatever I decide to do, it's gonna back me up, but Megan, pick something and get off your ass. But
Do
I'm like,
something.
"Mm."
I don't want to.
I don't want to. So I'm in victim mode. Help me get out of it. Ready, go.
Well, I think it's really interesting. Like, first of all, what was going on in your life when you stopped going?
God, what was that, 2019?
'Cause that's a long time for you to be
Well,
like, "Oh, I love doing all these things." And then not literally do anything. Or is
yeah.
it sporadic still within those 2 years?
I mean, it's been like 2 weeks on, 6 months off, 2 weeks on,
Okay.
6 months off. So, but I mean, I used to be like every day. I would do at least 5 days a week, I would do something.
Do you
And
think you burned yourself out
I
on that? Just on exercise? Or no? I'm just
maybe, but is that my victim mode being, "Oh, you're just burnt out. You can just keep not doing anything." I sometimes think that that's the case. I spent so much time training and I always had to have a goal to get me going. So it was, okay, pick a race and get off your ass. Pick an event, get off your ass. And now that I don't feel the need to spend $120 to run 13 miles, I don't.
yeah.
So I
Okay,
don't know.
so
I don't know.
you stopped. What I've learned about you is that you are like, "Go, go, go." Like, if you wanna do it, you're like, "Now. I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
now."
100 balls to the wall, 100%. Let's fucking go. Yeah, that's me.
But if we because I'm
All
not gonna
in,
say
as Doctor Caitlin says. I'm
you
all
are
in.
all in, like, for real. This
Yeah,
is not a joke. You are all in.
yeah.
So I can imagine you did the same thing with exercise.
Uh-huh.
And how old were your kids then? Well, 2 years younger, so
Younger, like, even, like, if
young.
if if anything, I have more freedom and my husband was still in school. So, if anything, I'm running out of excuses at this point in my life. My kids are old enough, my husband is not
Yeah.
in school anymore, but I'm still like, "Oh, but the money and that other thing and,
Do you
it's
think it was
too
causing
far
some kind of
away."
stress? Like, I know that exercise can help us not have stress, but, like, if we're over exercising or if we're doing the wrong kind of exercise, it can produce cortisol, which is a stress hormone and is actually not good for us, especially as we get older. I'm not saying you're younger than me even, but it isn't good for us, like, you get it doesn't help your hormones, it's, like, counterproductive almost to
And
be
I
doing
found
that.
out for my dosha, intense shit is not something I should be doing. I should be doing, like, light to moderate.
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Oh, so
Where
meditating
we're
then."
going. Yeah. Honestly, so whenever I was doing yoga, like, I liked to kinda do that get really exercised up with yoga, but then I started think like, I would go to classes that were, like, really hardcore, and I'm like, I didn't even actually feel stretched because we didn't even stay in a position long enough to stretch
Mhm,
my muscles, and I really have gravitated towards Yin Yoga, which is like, literally, you can hold a position for, like, 5 minutes or, from
mhm.
30 seconds to 5 minutes, and I love it. It, like, slows my brain down, it is more chill, and I feel good. Whenever I've noticed when I do high intensity stuff, I'm like, I feel if I can find, like, this perfect time slot, I feel great. If I go overboard, I feel shitty, and maybe what is something that is less hardcore for you? And what's interesting is that you were like, I had to have a goal. And before we were talking about, there was another purpose for you to go exercise. And what was that?
Socializing.
Yeah.
And not like, "Oh, I just go to the gym and talk to my friends and pretend I'm working out." I think and it's not even an accountability. It's not like I've got a friend that's gonna be like, "Where were you today?" Or I'm there and I'm like, "Oh, she did 5 reps. I need to do 6." It's not even about competitivity. It's compet is that
Competitive. You get it. We get
whatever. We love making up words.
it.
It's not about being competitive. It's not about, um, having somebody hold me accountable. It's truly about like, "Hey, I haven't seen you since last class. How have you been? Did you fix that problem you were telling me about?" Like, I have these mom friend my son goes to karate, and my husband recently, now that he has all this free time, he's like, I can take Thane to karate now." And I'm like, "No, you can't. I have mom friends now." Like, I'm going to
My
karate
community
so
is there.
yeah, I'm going to karate so I can talk to other adults that aren't you.
Oh, yeah, because you work at home. It's
Yes,
just you and your husband a lot of the time.
all day, every day.
And has been for 2 years
Yeah,
or so plus.
yeah, yeah, 2 years.
And so
So
now it's more maybe that goal is shifting, like, it's a community goal, but how bad do you actually want it? Because for whatever reason you wanted to do this other goal, whatever those goals were, like, I wanna run 13 miles. Was it about losing weight? Was it about being toned? Was it about feeling good? Like, what was the actual goal when you were working out?
so I think, years ago, and I made that sound like it was a long time ago, but it wasn't. I think it was like I think I think it was because I just wanted to it was in my opinion, and this is gonna sound judgmental on me and other people, but that's not my intent. I think my goal was to look skinny and look hot, and I in my opinion, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. Now I'm at a point in my life where I don't feel like I need to be that. Like, I'm happy being an 8 and a medium. I don't need to be a 6 and a small. And so now I just want to work out to be healthy, to have good heart health, to have good lung health, to be
For our bones and all
yeah,
the
right.
things.
For all the reasons you again, judgmental, should work out. That's where I'm at right now. And so that being said, I don't feel like I have to run 13 miles to be healthy. I don't have to run a triathlon to be healthy. I would very much like I'm really loving yoga right now, but I can't seem to bring myself to do it consistently at home, even though I love yoga with Adrian. And every time I do it, I feel amazing. I just can't bring so I don't know if maybe we've been home for 2 years and I'm like, "I gotta get out." Maybe that's the motivation I need, like, I've gotta go somewhere, meet new people, and even though we're not obviously going to spend an hour talking through poses, maybe it's just being in a room with other people. I don't know. I don't I
So
don't know.
I feel like I've been in a well, I'm always kind of in an exercise weird place because we're both manifesting generators, and I was just learning about how we exercise best, and we do tend to get bored and like, "Oh, I wanna do this, and I wanna do this," and I was always like, "I love just playing soccer as my workout or playing something." So I started playing tennis because I've never played tennis before, it was just easily accessible for me.
Mhm.
Soccer is a little more hardcore on my body and more intense, and now it is not, in my best interest to do that, though I really love it and enjoy it. Um, Not that tennis isn't hard on your body, I'm like, I should be playing pickleball actually or like which is still fun, like, I need to be having fun when I'm working out, and so but I know that I need to I feel good, I don't even wanna say need, I feel good when I start to stretch or even when I weightlift, I love weightlifting, but I don't wanna get up at 6 in the morning to go with my husband to do that, like, that doesn't sound appealing to me, so I started in between at times I was taking my kids, like, even if I just do one sun salutation, I will feel happy with myself, like, I had stretched a little, it still shifts how I feel, so I've been kinda doing that, and if it turns into 30 minutes that I actually worked out or I use weights, and I have them all in a very convenient area in my front room. So it's not like I have to go out to my garage because, like, I don't wanna go out there, it might be cold, it might be hot, it might be, like, conditions that I do not prefer.
Right. Very picky.
I'm
That's
very
all of
picky.
our weight stuff is in the garage, and I'm, like, crammed next to a welding machine
Mm,
and a bunch of bicycles, staring at a trash can, and I'm like, "This is just fucking miserable." Like,
mm.
why? My husband can do it because 'cause they're men and they don't care, but me, I'm like, I would rather go get a root canal at this point than go lift one weight in my garage.
That is so funny. I do think that me having it super accessible, like I leave my yoga mat out. It's kind of behind one of my couches in this, and but I made the area. It's actually I had our last podcast in that area. You couldn't see my yoga mat, but there's a little bench there and I put a bunch of plants, but it feels like and I can look out my window. And so I
Mm.
feel like, okay, I'm just stretching or I'll do kettlebell swings or whatever for 5 to 10 to 30 minutes. But I do think my environment matters for me where I'm working out.
It clearly matters for me because I don't wanna lift weights in the I tried bringing weights into my closet, like, on the other side of my computer, there's this big mirror, and I like looking at myself when I lift weights. That's so weird. But I think that's why gyms are full of mirrors. I don't think I'm the only one,
No,
but
totally.
for
Well,
me, it's
and
like, I
technique
wanna
and things like
see
that.
yeah, like, I wanna see what I'm doing
But you
because
wanna see your muscles. Uh-huh.
but I wanna flex for myself. Um, and I have, like I made a little altar in my room, and I have my yoga mat in front, and it has, like, some sage and all my crystals and a Buddha and all my, like, my cards that I pull, so I meditate in front of this space, and it's got a little spot where I can prop my phone up and watch yoga with Adriene, and, if she wants to sponsor this podcast, please. We've mentioned
Do
her, like, 3 times. But I, like, thought I had a little thing figured out, and I still love to meditate there. I
well, oh,
I'm in
and
victim mode.
well, you are well, I mean, and so how can you well, first of all, hormonally, you may not be in the right space either, but
I'm not.
and
I'll tell you right now.
maybe oh, and we haven't talked about soul modes either. Oh, we did a little bit, I brought them up before, but letting yourself be in that mode and be like, "Bleh." But what is a goal that you actually want? And sometimes being healthy is not a good motivator until you are unhealthy and you're, like, super sick. Like, when I got sick and I couldn't eat and I was choking on stuff, it took me till the very like, I'm gonna fucking die for me to do something. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Because, my 15-year-old, it's more motivating if you're getting acne and you take out dairy from your
Mhm.
thing than me telling her, like, "Let's live a little bit healthier. Let's try and eat a little differently." Like, you wanna live till you're 95, 100 maybe, or maybe you don't, but that is not motivating and that's not an immediate
Right.
what is it called whenever you get, immediate response or,
An
oh god,
immediate need. 'Cause
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know what
Yeah.
my insides look like. My outsides look okay. I'm a little squishy, but that's not something I really care about. I'm gonna go on vacation to a beach in a couple months, so yeah, I'd like to look good in a bathing suit, but even that's like,
I don't
I'm married, fuck it.
Yeah, and I think
So
that for me, I'm like, "Okay, well, I feel good enough with my 10 minutes right now." But could I feel better? I don't know. But I do think the community for tennis or like pickleball or like I just started an act I know this is not exercise, but I did start an acting class and I went yesterday for my second time. It was so much fun to just be with
awesome.
community and do these just fun, interesting things and see how funny people are. And if it was an exercise class, I would probably be more motivated to go because of those people. So maybe it is about you were like, "Oh, I wanna maybe go try karate, but it's 20 minutes away and whatever." But it's like, that other thing that I was talking about, creating the routine. So,
Oh, yeah. Go
I don't
into
know
that because it was really interesting.
I don't know who I heard this from, and it may have been, like, an Instagram post that, like, was targeted towards me. Someone was telling me
I need
that
more of those
he
Instagram posts.
I know. Well, he could he was saying how he told his client he wrote a book. So sorry if I don't know who this was. He wrote a book about creating the routine, and the hardest part really is showing up.
Mhm.
And so he had told his client, like, "Go to the gym, you do 1 workout, and then you leave. You cannot even stay longer than that. You're just gonna create the routine for 30 days or whatever, just
So, like, 1
showing up,
set.
1 set, and you leave. You are out." And that might look weird to other people, but
Fuck 'em. Just
fuck
kidding.
them. You are creating the routine and establishing that in your mind, like, it's not so bad actually to, like, get your stuff, go, and your brain gets used to that, just like you have created the habit of not working out.
Mhm.
Now you need to break that habit, and how do you do that first? And I think it's that similar lady who somebody else does, like, you do 1 push-up. What's the minimum you could do of an exercise? And then maybe instead of just doing 1, you're like, "Oh, heck, I'm here. Maybe I'll do 5."
Right.
So, creating the routine, so maybe you just show up to the first class or you just do 1 yoga pose. "Okay, thanks, Adrian." Like, "I'll see you
Peace out.
tomorrow." Yeah, "I'll
And
see
that's
you
why I
tomorrow."
love, like, yoga with Adrienne's great because she has 10 minutes. She's got
Mhm.
15 minutes. She's got 45, she's got 50, she's got an hour. She's got 5 minutes you can do before bed, and it makes me so sleepy, and I love it. She's got 10 minutes you can do the first thing when you wake up in the morning. I have no excuses left.
You don't, you
I
don't.
don't. I love to swim, like, I love it. It's probably one of my favorite things in the world to do. It is hard sometimes, especially when it's, like, 50 degrees outside and you're like, "Wow, do I really wanna get wet right now?"
Oh my god.
Okay, alright, fine. It's 45 degrees outside. Is that better? No?
I mean, semi, but yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Cold for me, okay?
Your hair's not freezing. It's not an icicle whenever you get
I
so
would not be getting anywhere
it
near a
doesn't count.
body of water if it was that cold, I'll just say that right now. So, we have a pool in my it's literally right across the street from my house, and I email the guy today because 'cause I'm like, "Hey, I see that the only adult lap swim is from 5:30 AM to 7 AM," which is literally I wake up at 5:30 AM, and I've gotten my last kid off to school at, like, 6:55.
Mhm.
So he's like, "Yep, that's all we have right now." I'm like,
Is it 'cause of
"Cool."
swim teams and stuff like that?
I think there's, like, an adult swim team, but I don't wanna compete. I have no desire to compete.
Yeah.
I just want to go and swim and
And
hear the water trickle by my ear and have, like, no thoughts for 20 minutes.
okay, so let me just put this out there. Is there any way you could go and be there at 5:30?
If Alex did the morning rush, and Alex is not a morning person.
But
In the
could you?
highest good of all,
Oh.
better if I do it.
So, but the thing is that there to start a new routine, there may have to be I don't want to say sacrifices, but there can be
Some
a
give and
thousand
take.
excuses.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you can
yeah,
have a thousand excuses and it's like, well then this would have to be adjusted and it's like, well if you want a new normal, you have to give up your old normal.
right, right.
And nothing is obviously motivating you enough to do that.
Yeah, pretty much. I need and it should come from within, right? Not without, it should come from within. So where the fuck is it? Where I can't find it anywhere. Where is it?
Well, you know what though? I do feel like so that I feel this with my diet a lot is even though I have all these allergies, I still have plenty of junk food that I can eat. Like, but when I'm eating vegetables and salads for lunch, or I know I feel energized, I sleep
Mhm.
better, I feel better. And it's so crazy how quickly you forget that you're sort of slowly not feeling as good and vibrant.
Right, and my diet's shit right now too. I haven't been juicing my celery. I went ham on a box of Thin Mints like a week ago. And, like, my sleep has been suffering. I have bags under my eyes, which I don't normally have when I'm eating right. My skin doesn't look as good as it normally does. There's a lot in my life that's falling apart, and, and I am in victim mode about that too, because 'cause I'm like, "I wanna eat gluten. I wanna have that piece of pizza.
Hmm.
I wanna be like everybody else." Well, the truth is do I really wanna be like everybody else that has heart disease and diabetes and precancerous cells floating around in their.
But it sometimes feels more easeful.
Mhm,
Like, it would just be easier if I could eat what is here right now and I don't have to make myself something else, or I can feel a part of the community, like what everyone else is doing. Because we do want to feel a part of the community, regardless, I think, personally.
mhm.
Um, but it's almost like did the egg or the chicken come first kind of thing, where it's like, really it's circular. So if we start to shift one part, then everything else sort of starts to
Mhm.
help and fall into place. Because once we get really tired, it's like, I'm not cooking something that we are going out to eat. And then it's sort of like kind of spirals and spirals and spirals. And you're just continuously more tired. And then you're like, well, we're going to eat out some more because, but until you're like, I have got to chop some freaking vegetables. And it's really in my mind, I think it's a lot harder than it actually is sometimes where I'm like, "Oh my god, that was so easy." Like, I can't even like, why did I make that such a big deal?
Yeah. Why did I put this off? Yeah,
But I do think that
yeah.
there's something to do
And
with
we've
that
been we've
exercise and
had
all the things. Keep going. Sorry.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, I think there's, like, some sort of weird internet thing happening, but no, I mean, my husband and I have had this conversation like, "Hey, why are we spending this much money on groceries and we're going out to eat 3 nights a week?" I'm like, "Because I'm fucking tired." "Well, why am I tired?" Because 'Cause I'm not eating right. I'm not exercising. I'm not doing what's in my highest good, because I wanna be easy, right? I want it to be easier than it has been. But I'm not making it any easier on myself if I wake up feeling every morning like I've been hit by a train because I have not been eating right, or I don't even have the energy to go work out because I'm not eating right.
Yeah. And then it's
So,
like a little bit and maybe as a holistic approach, it is a little bit of everything. So okay, can I do 5 minutes? Because 5 minutes is better than none.
Mhm.
Like, can I do 5 minutes of yoga? And I just stretch my body. And then that can, you know, moving into your breakfast, maybe your breakfast looks a little bit different. It doesn't have to look like a whole lot different, but maybe it's a little different. Maybe it is a little bit of a smoothie or, oh, I did a smoothie every other day instead of every day. Which is still okay, but you're like starting it's like you have to start fresh. What I feel like once I go really deep into my like, oh, I'm not doing good at all, it's sort of like I need a whole redo. Like everything just needs to be like I have to go
You
all
go
or
all
none.
in.
Yeah, I
You're like,
do.
throw out all the shit,
Yeah.
buy all the new food. Yeah, yeah, and you're like, "I'm gonna work out 30 minutes a day, every fucking day." Yeah, and I'm getting to that point where I'm like, that I'm getting there, and I don't wanna be there because that's not sustainable. It
No,
used to
it's
be
not.
sustainable for me, but now I'm like, "What's the point in this?"
You know what? One of my favorite things was, my Ayurveda teacher, our homework would be every week she kinda gave us a little so, like, let's say the first week, she's like, "Okay, you're gonna scrape your tongue every day this week." And I was like, "Okay." So you did that for 7 days, and you're like, "Okay, I'm scraping my tongue." You kinda see the effects of, like, what that can do or how it feels or what's coming off of your tongue, and then that next week, she'd be like, "Okay, now I want you to still keep scraping your tongue, but now I want you to do 5 breath work, 5 minutes of breath work every day. So you're scraping your tongue, you're doing 5 minutes of breath work. And, you get where I'm going. So the next week, okay, let's add in this. So it's not like you have to develop this huge regiment of things. It's slowly shifting. And that's kind of how I started with organic products was like I started with organic milk. And my husband's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why do we have to buy organic milk?" This is like, I mean, 1,000 years ago because I don't drink milk now, but like those shifts can take time. And I think thinking that you need to be all organic or to work out can be so overwhelming
Mhm.
that it stops us from doing it.
Yeah, and I used to not be that person. Like, when I went vegan, I literally watched 2 documentaries and I made a grocery list and I was like, "Guess what? We're vegan now." And I did it for like 3 years. And now I'm in the point in my life where I'm like, "But why?"
You need to rewatch the documentaries. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
clearly, clearly.
kidding.
But I mean, I think but that's just
I'm
an
kidding.
example of, my all-inness used to be so much worse than it was, right? Now it's more of a, I'm all in for a couple days and then I'm out.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of where I'm kinda trying to find more balance and moderation, and how does this play into my whole life
Mhm,
in keeping, like, an even keel? It's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna do a little bit better over here, and then this way is gonna catch up a little to that one." And I don't know, so what could be a first step for you that you'd feel like, "Okay, this is the one thing that I can do towards exercise," or just create like shifting so you're not like in a mode of like cold turkey. I'm stopping all of this and now I'm eating this way.
For me, food-wise, the one thing that makes me feel that literally moves the marker for me so much is celery juice. I have a fridge full of
Hmm.
celery right now, and every day this week I've just been like, "Ugh, I'm fucking tired." It would take me 20 minutes to juice celery juice for at least 2 to 3 days. So I know what I'm doing after to get done recording this podcast. I'm gonna go do celery juice. Um, and that was my approach to meditation this year. Like, if I can't do anything all day, it will be 5 minutes of sitting in complete silence with my thoughts. That is my commitment, and some days I don't get to it. Some days I do it for 10 minutes. I
Hmm.
haven't I think last night was the first night I'd done it all week. So, but I did it, and I felt that was a decision. That those little decisions are what give you confidence to make more of those types of decisions. So maybe I've already been all over Google this morning in my depression, like, okay, swimming's not going to work. What about local yoga classes? So there's a couple studios, they have class cards. They've got 4 class cards, 15 class cards. Maybe my next thing is to get a class card and just go check it out. The minimum class card I can buy that
Mhm.
isn't the drop-in rate, because drop-in rates are fucking absurd right now.
There. But maybe you do just the drop-in rate because you go to 1 and you're like, "Okay, now I know I can buy the 5 after this." I mean, it just depends on kind of where you might be at. But for me, sometimes what happens is I buy the 5 pack and then I only go once and then I'm like, "What the fuck did I just do? What is wrong with me?" And then like my 3 months or 6 months expire or or then it's about to expire and then I get all my 5 classes in those 3 months in the
Yeah,
last week.
in
I'm
the
like
last
taking
week.
it
I gotta
5
go
days
every
in
day.
the one day.
Okay, so maybe it is the drop-in rate.
And I know it sucks because that drop-in rate is a lot,
Just
but
$20 and then the 4 class cards like 45 and you're like, "Oh, come on.
yes,
That's ridiculous."
they really know how to get you.
They really do. God, that's great marketing.
Great, great, great marketing. But I think that it could start to move the meter and you start to get what that one thing in and not only that, see what is connecting with you now. Like before it was running or whatever else, but you're in a different season of life right now. So what is going to connect with you? And your pendulum's like, fucking go do something. And so try all of those things and because I don't know, can you do one? You can't do a drop in for karate. Can't you do like a first freebie or something?
I I know in February they're doing like they're trying to get parents to sign up. February is parent month, right?
Oh,
So it's bring your parent to karate. But there was one class and I missed it because it's at like 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my way to bed at 7 o'clock at night. I mean, it's not that bad, but like,
okay. So hold on. So this is another thing that I feel like I'm trying to bring into my life. And that is what are my priorities? Like top three, if I look back in the and I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, what did you do with your life? What are those things? And for me, I have a list of like and those things can like come and go sometimes. Sometimes they're there for a long time. I think I've talked about this before. I want to learn Spanish and Russian. Like I want to be I mean, semi-fluent. Like I know quite a
carry a
bit.
conversation.
Yes, I want to be yes. I wanna play the ukulele. I've been wanting to go to acting class for, like, 5 plus years, and I finally fucking did it. But, like and I want to feel good. Like, and to feel good, I know that I have to do this and this and this and this. Or so that's kind of why for me, for exercise, I like to do something like I started playing tennis, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I love this. This is so much fun." I did not think I was gonna be a tennis, like, loving person. Honestly, I was like, "I don't really get it." And then somebody I saw, I was like, "Oh, can I just try hitting it?" And then I was like, "Oh my god, this is really fun." And now I want to go. It motivates me to go because it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, does that do sports do that for you or
I didn't grow up playing team sports. I grew up dancing.
Mm,
So I've always loved to dance. Oh, there we go.
really? Yeah, I went to bachata class. I thought it was so much fun. I went with
I
Caitlin.
she loves bachata. And that makes so much sense. I love ballet because it makes me feel pretty and graceful and
Mhm.
pretty and thin and pretty and graceful. But so I don't really, karate could be fun. Yoga, I'm still, maybe I do. I do the drop in and I okay, do I like this? Yes or no? Is this something that I would invest in? Yes or no? And then maybe I try karate. I already have friends, like 2 of the mom friends that I go see for Thane's karate have just started karate themselves. So that could be fun because we can beat each
Yes.
other up.
So, can beat up this other mom. It's fun.
Well, they were talking about last night how, I mean, this is gonna sound odd, but they were sparring and she was like, yeah, she was sitting on my face this one time and was like, "Should I just get up?" And she's like, "No, you can just stay there." Like, I was like, "This sounds like a good time,
This is where
y'all.
I wanna be.
This sounds fucking awesome." So, I mean, they're talking about it and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds." I had like FOMO for a minute. Like, that sounds fun. But do I
Yes.
wanna work that hard? At this point, no, I don't wanna work hard at all, which is why we're having this podcast episode and why it's called victim mode.
Yeah, but then I feel like okay, so I was super, like, nervous/excited slash like, I think I was more excited to go, but taking the time out of my day because it's a class during the day
Mhm.
and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna drive downtown. I gotta park." There's all these roadblocks I could say for myself that, "Oh, you gotta park downtown. It's during the day. It's gonna be cutting it close to pick the girls up." Like, "Oh, I don't know." And then I don't even know these people. Who are you to be taking an acting class and you're almost 40? Like, there's all the things that could go that the self-sabotage that will happen.
The ego.
And
Like, "What
every
are you
time
fucking doing?"
yeah, the 2 times I have gone, I have left those classes in the best mood.
Yeah.
Like life is happier. The fun I laughed so much in my acting class that I was like, "I don't remember the last time I laughed this much."
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I coulda talked myself out of this 1,000 times. It was not cheap. I was like, "Who am what am I doing? Like, why? Oh my god." But what kind of life do you wanna live, Megan?
Yeah. I don't wanna live a life in victim mode. I don't wanna live a life being a frumpy potato. Couch potato.
And not only that, for our, things, you were saying how frustrated you were, and that is a sign that you are not living your design. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, after I left that, I was like, "I'm so fucking satisfied right now," because that is our opposite. Whenever you're like, you're living your design. Get past those roadblocks and be like, "My priority is living a satisfying fucking life," because this is our one life, Megan. God
Yeah.
damn it.
Get off your ass.
I'm talking to myself too, and all those times that I stop myself from doing things. My friend Sam, I hope she doesn't mind me. No, she's fucking awesome. Her family, they're always going she's like, "We're going mountain biking, we're going skiing, we're doing all this stuff," and I'm like, "Fuck," which is fine too, that I sit on the couch sometimes during the weekend, but I'm like, I think there can be so much enjoyment, and the things that stop me from doing that is like, "Oh, well, then we'd have to get up early, and then we don't have all the right things to put it," I'd have to put that in the car, and then we have to drive for an hour, but it's like, that accumulated time of me griping about that, I don't know, you look back in your life and you're like, "Oh, remember when we did this with our family?" Or, "Remember whenever that lady in karate class sat on my face?" I think that those little moments accumulate to a lifetime, and it goes by a lot faster and faster, I feel like.
Yeah.
My kids are fucking old, I feel 15, she's gonna be out of my house. I have to have my likes and hobbies, and who am I?
Yeah.
I don't have to, but that is what I want for my life.
Yeah, and I liked who I was when I was working out. It didn't give me an identity, but it was part of who I was. It was, "Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm gonna go work out." And that was a good choice that I would make, and it felt good to make that choice, and I never regretted it. Never regretted it. And I think I miss having that part of my life where that's a priority, because that was time that I invested in myself. I didn't do it for my husband, I didn't do it for the kids. I did it for me. And that's what my theme for 2022 seems to be is me,
It's all
the
about
year of
Megan.
me.
Yes. And there's no shame in that. Like, I think we probably should have way more years of us because saying no, I don't know, I feel like you hear those athletes who have done amazing things, genius people who have, like, put so much time and energy into something, have said no to so many birthday parties, but the thing is that's their life, and they have literally chosen and curated their lives to what
Mhm.
they want it to be,
Right.
and I say yes to a lot of things that I probably shouldn't say no to because I
Yeah.
have other goals, and to get those goals met, I need to say no way more often probably. And not only that, be like, "I know you're not a morning person, honey, but today you're gonna have to be."
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, I'm not saying totally inconvenience or don't compromise, but, "Hey, this one morning that I'm gonna go swimming, can you please do, you know, drop off duty? Thanks."
Yeah.
'Cause I bet he could rally for 1 day a week.
Yeah. He better. He fucking better.
This is a forced thing. But, yeah, I think also the other thing is communication in that, like, this is something I need for my soul to feel happy, and when I'm happy, I know that that is a ripple effect for everyone else in my family. Like, I came home so amped, yes not even amped, I was just in a different vibrational level,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it will be a ripple effect, even if it's 1 day a week, every other week.
Yeah. I mean, even the drop-in rate for lap swim is like $15. And on Saturdays, they're open from I think 6:30 to 8 or 6:30 to 7 for a no, 6:30 to 7:30, something like that. So,
Look at you problem solving here.
Saturday morning, I could be like, you can handle this because they're gonna sleep in till about 7. I'm gonna be out the door by 6:30. You can let them they're now at a point where they can get like an applesauce packet and they can turn
Mhm,
on the cartoons and they can sit there until you go out there and make them second breakfast, right?
right.
So, yeah. Okay.
Do it,
Do
do
it.
it, do it.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad we recorded this podcast episode. I'm going to get off, juice some celery juice, have a come to Jesus with my husband about what I think I need or what I want to try. I already feel better. I
Yeah,
literally already feel better.
good. Well, I think half the battle is, like, getting it no, the whole battle is here in our heads,
Yeah.
truly.
Well, even when I was a runner and a triathlete, the hardest part, 90% of the battle is putting on your shoes. It sounds so simple, but the
No.
hardest part is putting on your shoes, getting that swimsuit on. Like, because once you get it on, you're like, "Well, this is it. I'm fucking doing it. It's already on." Like, you can't take it off, but it's on, so I might as well, like, every runner will tell you the hardest part is putting your tennis shoes on.
Yeah,
I think that goes for everything. The hardest part is just making that decision that this is what I'm going to do.
yeah. For I wouldn't say everything.
Everything, yeah.
Like, I mean, even this podcast, there are so many things that we could have told ourselves, like, "Who the fuck is gonna listen? Who are you to be making a podcast? Who are" we don't even know how to make a podcast.
We still don't know how to
Don't know
make
how to
a
make a
podcast.
podcast. But we have fun, and every time that we talk, I know I feel, like, energized after we and I think that is a
Yeah,
great sign and indicator for probably anybody is that if you're leaving something and you don't feel drained, you're on the right track. Of
yeah.
course, after exercise, you're gonna feel like that natural
It's a good drain though,
yeah, yeah,
not a soul-sucking drain.
yes, yes, exactly. So, I don't know, yay, I don't know, that this is also pumping me up where I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna
Let's
I'm gonna
fucking
go
go,
do something.
Reba. All
Let's
right, we
fucking
gotta
go.
go. We gotta fucking go. I got shit to do
We
now.
got shit to do. I hope you guys do too. So, we love you,
We
and,
love you. Thanks for letting us talk at you and holding space for victim mode.
ugh,
I mean,
fucking hate victim mode.
I do too, and I'm in it. And no, I'm not. I'm not
Not
anymore.
anymore.
I'm making the choice to not be in victim mode anymore, whatever that looks like.
Well, it's one step,
Yeah,
right? One step towards
right.
empowering yourself.
Mhm.
Yay. So,
Yay.
we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, I gotta go do some celery juice.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.